Hi guys, today I'm going to be making a quick tutorial on making it whiskey glass in Blender 2.9. Steps should be similar in other versions, this just happens to be the version that I'm using today. The first thing we're going to do is press A to select all of our objects, then remove them by pressing delete. Alternatively, you can also use the X key and select delete that way. Now we need to add our shape. We're going to do this by using Shift A, go into Mesh, dropping down to cylinder since that's the closest to what our end result will be. From here, we're going to press Tab to enter edit mode. We're going to add loop cuts, but we're going to do that by pressing Control R, scrolling our mouse wheel up. Press Tab to get us back into object mode. And on the right side, we have this wrench. That's our modifiers. We're going to add a modifier, a subdivision surface modifier. Turn up our viewport and render levels. So we're seeing it starting to balloon out a little bit. Doesn't really look like a glass. Not yet. Add another loop cut right here to the top. I'm going to bring that up. The same thing on the bottom. Back up to the top, we're going to select this top loop. We're going to select the entire loop by holding Alt and selecting that line. My select is right mouse button. I just kept it like that. I'm more used to using the older versions of Blender. Then we're going to press E to extrude, and then before we move anything, we'll press S. So E for extrude, S for scale. Bring that in a little bit. That's going to be our thickness of our wall for our glass. And press 1 to get to front orthographic view again. Come up here, we're going to turn on our X-ray so we can see what's happening on the inside. Again, we're going to extrude down. You can see we have these weird shapes on the inside. Get rid of those by pressing E for extrude, S for scale. And keep scaling it down. X-ray off. Turn for real-time view. It's starting to look a little more like a glass. While we're here in object mode again, I'm going to press F3, brings up our menu. Object shade smooth. Helps it out a little bit. You see here on the bottom we have something going on with this face. So go back to edit mode. I'm going to select this bottom edge loop. Press E, S, E, S, E, S. Now get rid of our issues with the face on the bottom. Now if you look at the top, you see this lip is pretty sharp. So to make it more realistic, we're going to add another edge loop on the inside. I'm just tabbing back and forth between object and edit, just using tab. Turn for real-time view. And we're going to bring the edge loop to the top inside rim. Now it gives us some wall thickness at the top as well, so it's not sharp. Makes it look a little more realistic. Now we need to take this product and actually make it look like glass. We come down here to the material properties. We're going to add a new material. Just name this glass. Come down to our transmission shader. Bring that all the way up to 1. Our roughness all the way down. And I'm just going here to the render properties. I'm changing this to cycles render. Otherwise, light transmission doesn't work as good as in Eevee as it does in render mode. So currently this is what we're looking at. Go add a plane. We're going to do that by Shift A, Mesh, Plane. Press S for scale. Just enter a random number. Get it big enough. I'm moving this moving this plane by pressing G for grab, and then pressing Z to use on the Z axis. Alright, so now we have our glass made. We gotta fill it up. Turn that real-time view off again. Add another loop cut to the inside. Just gonna be our water level, or liquid level, whiskey level, whatever you want it to be. About halfway in the glass. About what we want. So I'm gonna go to face select. You can do this by selecting up here, do your vertex, edge, or your face. Alternatively, you can use 1, 2, or 3. Select the entire face loop by pressing Alt and selecting. I do that again with right click. Then Alt Shift, right click. You can continue selecting loops. Extra back on. So that's going to be our liquid level. We need to duplicate that to make sure we match it inside the glass with Shift D. We grab that around. Press P. We're going to separate this by selection. Now we have a new object over here. Let's name this whiskey. Name the first one. So don't forget what it is, just name it glass. We have these separated, so now we can turn off our glass, and now we have our inside mesh. And they add a top to it. So we're going to select this edge loop here. We're going to press E, S for extrude scale. Go to face and select grid fill. Then if we turn on our real-time view, you'll see that it's coming in at a kind of a bit of a weird angle. Liquids don't normally sit like that in a cup, so we need to make this come up and hug the side of the glass a little bit. We're going to do that. Control R, add another loop, drag it up. I'm going to select this loop, Alt, select again. Just using G to grab, Z to move on the Z axis. Another edge loop. Okay. And something to always remember when you're doing liquids, a lot of times you have the issue where if we were to texture this now, see, we're add new texture. We have an edit mode selected. We're going to assign it to new. Turn transmission all the way up. It's going to match the settings on the glass. Give us a different base color. This sort of looks good to you. Volume. And go to volume absorption. This just changes how the light interacts as it travels through a liquid. So as it goes further in, it gets darker. Has the appearance of being darker. Okay. So we were to turn on our glass into render mode. See how we're having this weird shape with the liquid here? We're looking at the top, it looks good. But the sides, it's not showing properly. So to fix that, we're going to go back into edit mode. We're going to select all by pressing A, Shift N to recalculate our normals. Now if we were to go back into it, you'll see it's looking a bit better what it's supposed to. If you look along the bottom, you see how it's jagged. That's just where the faces of the whiskey and the glass are intersecting. So to fix that, Press S for scale. You do 0.99 on the keyboard. Make sure your modifiers are turned on for real-time view, and that is going to get rid of your jaggedness. So let's add a little bit light to the scene. We're doing world settings. A little bit of light in here. Add a camera, Shift A again. Your camera view. Snapping to that with Control Alt 0. That's going to take your current view and make it the camera's point of view. I'm going to change, give this a texture, the plane here. This is just essentially our background for this. Let's add a light. So the rendered image looks like. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Real quick, down and dirty render of Whiskey Glass. Future videos could go a little more in depth, a little more changes, adding scenes, making ice cubes for it, different types of glasses or objects. But that's it for today. Thanks, guys.